Hey folks, today I will discuss about one technology called emulation. This is in VLSI domain. So VLSI is a very large scale integration domain where emulation technology comes into effect. Emulation is a technology which has been evolved for the last 10 years or so. This is because of the slowness of the simulation technology when we have a huge number of gates in a particular design, and as the technology progresses the number of gates in a particular board is being increased by leaps and bounds. So the simulation technology, which has been a trendsetter for last 20-30 years, even more than that, as a part of functional verification, has become slow, and it takes days and sometimes weeks to run for a bigger or larger design itself. So you can see that simulation is basically runs in software. It's basically RTL, it runs on RTL. So we know that Verilog, System Verilog, VSTL, those are the RTL languages where the designers used to code their design. So design is basically the RTL coding, and in the simulation, just give you a small idea of the simulation so that I can describe what is the benefit and what is the technology upbringing of the emulation technology. In the simulation, we provide some input vector. So for example, if you just have some acquaintance of the designs or technologies or gates, so if we have a gates like that, some AND gates, and this is your small design, and you have a input as 1 and 0, then you expect that the output will come as 0. So these basically inputs is basically the input vector. It can be a large design. So and you get an output as output vector. Then you basically compare with the code as the RTL designers modify their designs. So in that way, this functional verification is performed on top of simulation, and then the simulator tool is being run, and the output is being generated and being verified by the designers. So this is has become a bottleneck for larger designs when you have billions of gates out there, and you require some faster turnaround of the design. So emulation is a technology where is basically it is also called as a software hardware post simulation. So emulation is a technology where you get the opportunity to test the complete design on board. What happens in simulation, if you have a SoC, so those blocks inside the SoC is being run block wise, and then you put everything together in a SoC design. So in the emulation, you can put billions of gates as a part of SoC directly on board, and you can test or you can verify the complete design itself. And it does not run in days or weeks, it can run in a few hours itself. So it is much fast, it runs 1 and 1.5 gigahertz of speed. Now to give some smaller details of the emulation, it can have different architectures. What happens is that in a typical verification domain, you can have some synthesizable part and some non-synthesizable part of the design. So we call it as a duty for the synthesizable, where you actually put the design logic, gates and all these things. And then you have some test bench, which is basically giving some input vector, and it captures some output vector. And you have some seed or random vector generation for the input vector. Now what happens is that in the simulation acceleration type of emulation, you have one component of the design as synthesizable, and another component is basically non-synthesizable. So this is basically typically is your hardware, this is basically typically is your software. So you have to run simulation and emulation together. So one part you send to the simulator, and one part is basically you send to the simulator, and one part is basically sent to the emulator. And then you combine the design for the complete verification plan. There are many smaller details that how you can do this simulation approach, but I will discuss on this in some separate blog on that. Whatever I can describe on that, I can give some more details, but here just to know about what is emulation technology, this should be enough. Another process is basically called inseparability emulation, where is basically you have the complete